Hi there. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can create a table in InDesign. Let's have a look to the data that we have. This is my data, and I wanted to create a table using this table in InDesign. First of all, I need to select the whole data, copy the data. You can press Ctrl C or go to Edit, Copy. In InDesign, we need to paste it, Ctrl V or Edit, Paste. Okay, this is all my data. If I double click on the corner, it will extend the window. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, so this is all my data. First of all, I need to find what is the separator between the contents inside the table. So let's go to Type and select Show Hidden Characters. If I zoom a bit to the data, we can see these symbols, these hidden characters, the blue ones. So this symbol is represent tab, which is a separator between all the content and between the columns actually. And this symbol represent inter, or we can call it paragraph in InDesign. So this is separator between the rows. Perfect. So we need to select the whole data first, or hold Ctrl A to select all. Then there is a table option at the top. You can select it and click on the Convert Text to Table. It will convert all the selected text to the table. So it asks us what is the separator between the columns and between the rows. Again, because we checked that the separator between the columns is tab and between the rows is paragraph, this is good. So if it is not, you can select between these other options. Hit OK, and the table is created based on our data. Okay, so in here, if I click on W, or you can go to View Screen Mode Preview. So you can see the design is very simple. We can edit this design to make a better design table. Again, click on the W to go back to the design view. So to apply some options, we can double click on one of the cells. So each of these parts, we can call it as a cell. So each of these, so we have 4 columns, few rows, and each one of these content is inside one cell of the table. Double click on one of the cells. So in this case, you see when I bring the mouse to the corner of the table, it changed to a bigger arrow, or also if I move it to beside one of the rows and on top of a columns. So if I click, it will select the whole column, or in here it can select the row, or if I hold the left key on the mouse, I can select more than one row, or the same for the columns. So because we can apply the settings on the selected part of the table, this is how we can select. If you wanted to apply same design to the whole table, you can simply bring the mouse to the corner and then click. So it selected the whole data of the table. So now to see what we can do is you need to just right click on the table while the data is selected. So we have an option for table options and cell options and lots of more different options like insert, delete. You can delete the whole table. If you select the row, you can delete the row or columns. So let's first have a look to the table options. If I click on this, these are all the parts that we can edit. Okay, so this is the table dimension. You can change the number of the rows or the columns. We have table border setting. So the border of the table by default in InDesign is 1 point black solid type. But if you wanted to change it, you can just edit the weight, the color, and the type of the line. If you don't want it to have a border at all, simply you can just change the weight to 0. Let me click on OK, and if I go to the preview again, click on the W, you can see the border around the table is disappear because the weight is 0. Let's click on the W again, back to the design view, and select the whole table one more time. Right click, table options, back to options. We have very different options here. If you wanted to edit the line between the rows or row strokes, and also if you wanted to edit the column strokes, all the options are here. Let me show you one. For example, if you wanted to have alternating a pattern every other row and so on. So you can click. So for example, for the first row, you can change the stroke between the rows. Let's change it to 0.5. Let's change the color. I just wanted to show you how it can change. So if I hit OK, and if I go to preview, it looks better. So in here, you can see every other row has this red border stroke. Let's select again the whole table, right click, and I don't want it to apply this, so you can just go back to the none. It is the same for column stroke, but the one is more popular is using fields and maybe every other row pattern. So for the first row, for example, I wanted to have 20% tint green, and for the other row, I don't want it to have color. Let's see how it will look like. This is how it will show in the table. You can apply other options like every second row, and also you can do it for every other column. So let's see how it looks like. Hit OK. And this is for every other column. Okay. So these are all the options for table setting. We have also headers and footers, so you can change the number of the rows for those and so on. But there is another option for editing cells. So it will apply to the selected part of the table. Again, because I select the whole table, whatever I edit, it will apply to the whole table. Let's go and see what we have here. So we have inside text. You can edit how the text is justification and inserts inside each cell. We have graphics. But the one thing that is important here is stroke and fills. So in here, as you see, we have blue lines, which represent the active strokes. So if I wanted to apply some specific setting, all will apply to all the blue lines. If I don't want it to have setting for example, for the columns, the stroke between the columns, I need to just click on that and change it from blue to gray. And in this case, nothing will apply. The setting here is not applied to that line. So in this, let me click again back. So for example, here, I wanted to deselect all the other lines. So I wanted to keep everything as it is, except the line between the columns. So I wanted to delete this line. So again, to delete any stroke, you need to change the weight to 0. So I change the weight to 0 for the selected line. The selected line in here is only the line between the columns because only this one is blue. Okay, so hit OK. And there it is. As you can see, it just deleted all the strokes or changed the weight to 0 between the columns. Let's go back again, right click, cell options. What if I wanted to edit the stroke between the rows? So let me again check the all other strokes. Okay, so for the rows, for the stroke between the rows, I wanted to change the weight to, for example, 0.5, and from black, I wanted to change it to green. Let's hit OK. There it is. So as you can see, just apply to the strokes between the rows. Okay, so if I wanted to change the heading in here, you can simply select that heading, select this row. We can change the font, change the size, all the settings, change the text color. To change the text color, as you see in the InDesign, there is an option in here. We can select formatting, affects, text, and then change the text color like this, for example, and so on. So this is just a simple table that we can create. I wanted to show you just another way to create a table. Let me go the design view. Okay. So for creating this table, as you remember, I first copied the text from the file that I had and then pasted it in InDesign. Then I went to the table and select the convert text to table. But there is another way to create a table. So in this case, first you can go to the table, create table. So for this case, you have to know how many rows and how many columns you need. For example, I need 4 columns and I don't know, maybe I know there is a 19 rows. So it's okay. So you see the mouse change and I need to draw a table area. There it is. So this is how I can create the table, and then to just paste the text inside this table, I need to go back to the text, copy, and select the whole table and Control V or paste. Okay, so this is another way to just create a table of all the content that you have. But the other part that I explained to design the table is exactly the same. You can simply right click and go to the table and cell options. If you anytime wants to delete a row, you can simply select a row, right click and click on the delete. It will delete that row. It's the same for the table. You can delete the for the column, you can delete the column. Or if you wanted to delete more than one, it simply will works. Also, if you wanted to insert a row, you can click on the insert row. It asks you how many rows you wanted to insert. Do you wanted to add it above the selected row or below that? Let me add 2 and hit OK. You see it just added 2 rows above the selected row. This is exactly the same for inserting a column. So I wanted to have 2 columns, maybe on the right side of the selected column. Okay, I think this is all basic things about editing, creating and editing a table in InDesign. I hope you find this video useful. Thank you for watching.